Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Libra energy, and we are going to read it from a couple different perspectives because everybody has learned kind of different lessons in their life, and some people harness a more high vibrational, kind of enlightened, motivated by truth and love and justice and fairness and authenticity than some other people in the world. And people can be beastly in the world and they think it's just and fair. So the cards have different traits and characteristics to them, depending on if, someone's in more high vibe energy or not. So anyway, we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives. It might be something that people in their Libra energy, if they're a Libra sun sign, or have significant Libra placements in their astrological chart, it might be something they really kind of might be dealing with or struggling with. But we all tap into Libra energy, just like we tap into all the other zodiac signs. And so, to a degree, it can be something that affects all of us. And if in your own Libra energy, you have your idea of what you think is just and fair, and what drives and motivates you, you're kind of looking for people who kind of are on the same page as you in their Libra energy. So, let's go see what's going on. Okay, we had a lot of card splitting while in the middle of the deck, and that's why at the bottom here we have two clarifiers for why cards came out. I view these cards at the end as the overarching reason for the reading. And it's kind of interesting because this is Aries energy and this is Libra energy, the Three of Swords and the Justice card. And Libra and Aries are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. And, you could look up every other zodiac sign and find out what's on the opposite side of them also. But high vibe Libra energy is about being balanced within ourselves, represented by the scales of justice. And Aries energy can be about the self. So we need to get balanced within ourselves. And, we can kind of be more motivated and inspired by our own wants and needs and lust and greed and pride and ego, but if we want to work with other people, we need to get more balanced within ourselves. It's not just about us. And then in our own Libra Aries energy, about being more balanced. Aries energy is fire sign energy. About these things that we want in the world that we're kind of fired up about. And then it's, what do we think is just and fair? And we can be tipped out of balance where we're more about us, more motivated and inspired by the world, ego image and things like that, self-indulgence. Or we've learned some lessons in life and we've gotten more balanced within ourselves. And if we want to be in more just and fair relationships and balanced relationship and loving relationships, we need to get more balanced within our self-temper, being more about ourselves. And some people haven't learned that lesson yet, and some people could still be more about themselves and they think that's just and fair. So let's go see what's going on in Libra energy. We have the Magician, the Nine of Swords, the Six of Wands, the King of Swords, which I view as Libra energy. And the reason these cards came out is because of the Nine of Cups. If we're kind of more about ourself, the Nine of Cups can talk about kind of that we have these illusions about relationships. The Magician also can be about creating illusions. I think it's just and fair to kind of be more about myself. And the King of Swords can be that's my truth, or I'm self-protective and I don't want to really do love because I get hurt doing love. But I might like to be in relationships and look victorious and successful like I have what other people have in the world. But some people prefer to live a life of illusion. I want to create the illusion. It's just, it's fair, it's inspiring, it's authentic, it's loving. But it's more of a mental construct from the Nine of Swords. I'm living more from my mind than my heart. And so there's some people in the world that maybe that's what makes them feel balanced within themselves, because we all live our life in whatever way we're comfortable with, kind of based on our emotional maturity level. And if some people are kind of try to create the illusion that they're more independent, is what the Nine of Cups can talk about. I'm not selfish or greedy or prideful or defensive. I'm inspired by truth and justice and fairness and love. Well, there's people who try to present themselves as being that way. And then later, when you work with them in whatever capacity, work, friendships, relationships, family dynamics, you could end up finding out that they're, the truth. The Nine of Swords is Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature. What is our truth? We live in a world of duality. We have to pick a path. We can either pick hope and faith and belief and love. We can pick hope and faith and belief in ourselves and the world more. We can juggle back and forth and not want to pick a path. And some people in their Gemini energy are up in their head about picking a path. I kind of like to hang out with the loving people because they're loving and encouraging and authentic and just and fair. But then they want me to be that way. And then I might kind of want to hang out with the more people who are more inspired by the world and motivated by that. And they look like they've got justice in the world. And I want those things. So then I kind of want to hang out with those people because it makes me look like I look victorious and successful in the world. And, Libra energy, it's not on the table here, but it might come out eventually, is also represented by the Two of Swords, where they can't decide what their truth is. And that's what the Nine of Swords can be. Is some people are like, gee, I just don't know. I want these things and I want to maybe have a good job and friends and romantic relationship, but what is my truth? And maybe if I wanted to move forward with some people, they're not going to let me manipulate them and create an illusion. I would have to speak my truth. I would have to be more just and fair or balanced within myself. And some of them are really stressed about speaking their truth. Other people could want to be in a relationship with someone. They're just and fair and not operating more from ego, motivated and inspired by love. There's someone else they think who is kind of on the same page, but they could kind of be up in their head about speaking their truth to someone, right? High vibe people believe they have the resources to manifest their dreams into reality. And it all does start in our mind and our emotions and our creativity and our imagination. Do I have hope and faith and belief in my dreams? Do I think I have the capability that if I put work and effort into moving my life forward, having hope and faith and belief in myself and in my dreams, that I'll get justice? And part of it is I have to be inspired to maintain balance within myself, not indulge poor behavior in myself or others. And I need to speak my truth. Because I can be moving forward in my life and there's always going to be more shadowy people. Shadowy fire sign energy can be people who want to indulge in a relationship with someone. But they could operate more from pride and ego and be more about themselves, self-indulgent, have a lot of fears, have a lot of insecurities that they don't deal with, and think the answer to feeling better is, I know, I'll go get in a relationship or go get a new job or, but they take all their baggage with them. So I think as high vibe people are moving forward, they are inspired to be more independent of being manipulated more by their mind and their fear and their insecurities and other people. Because they want these just and fair relationships, and they need to be in relationships with other people who have learned to love themselves, get out of their ego. The Six of Wands moves away from the Five of Wands, which can be our more shadowy nature of being more self-indulgent, caught up in the illusion, living more from our mind and making decisions more out of fear. If I don't want to be in relationships with people who are in that type of energy, then I need to get out of being in that type of energy. And I need to get out of my head. From the 9 down to the 1 sword is getting rid of the 8 of Swords, of kind of imprisoning your more hopeful, believing, loving nature. Go take action. enjoying your life, treating other people the way you like to be treated. High vibe Leo, being authentic, being warm, being loving, being encouraging, maintaining your independence, being just and fair and balanced, treating other people the way you like to be treated. And hopefully the people who are motivated and inspired by that will more be the people who are attracted to that and will want to move forward with you. But we always listen to our intuition about people we know from our past, people in our present, people in our future, because we know that the kings can represent, whether they're male or female, it's kind of how people present themselves in the world, and it's considered like masculine energy when you go take action in the world and present yourself a certain way. All sorts of people can present themselves as a just and fair, successful, victorious, authentic, independent person, but are they? And so it's kind of there, the high vibe people are like, we stay here getting to know each other till I figure out kind of what your truth is, what drives and motivates you. Is it ego? Is it indulgence? Caught up in the illusion of the world? Caught up in the illusion of yourself? Or are you more balanced within yourself and authentic and motivated and inspired by truth and love? Or are you not? And then we have a card not showing itself, and the reason that came out is because of the Six of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles can be about getting to know people. In all these, it's Taurus, they're both Taurus energy. Taurus energy can represent all these different institutions of the world, in our workplace, in our families, in our friend groups, in our community. And we do back and forth with people. And again, the Six of Pentacles, that we can exchange time, energy, effort, and resources with people to get to know them. But to go from the 6 to the 7, do I want to have like a new beginning, more of a relationship with you or not? And it's trying to figure out, maybe how we harness this energy. Do we harness this energy the same way? And it's the Emperor. So the Emperor is also Aries energy. Is someone making good decisions in their life? High vibe Emperor would be someone who has learned all these lessons in life. I've let my heart run my life, and the other aspects of my life kind of went in the toilet. And then I had to let my mind run my life. I was defensive. And so then, because I was kind of maybe more defensive, or maybe I was more focused in the Pentacles, or maybe more on my career, trying to get stability, and, because we kind of have thought and creativity and emotions and manifesting over here, and then we have the Pentacles. I mean, hopefully everybody's doing work to feel stable and balanced within themselves, and hopefully are learning lessons in life and learning to make better decisions in their life, because we've got a lot of lessons to learn, right? So we let our heart run our life, we let our mind run our life, we let our more worldly, immature nature run our life. There's all these things kind of that we want to go invest in the world, that we're fired up about, that we think is just and fair to go indulge in those things at different stages of our life, right? And hopefully we learn lessons in life. Hopefully we don't keep repeating old patterns, kind of is what the sixes can talk about. We kind of live life at a phase of life. Did I enjoy that phase of life of what I was manifesting? Yes, I was 15, 18, 21, 25, 35, 45, whatever I was. It was appropriate that I enjoyed that time of life. But then there kind of comes a time, the 9s and the 10s can talk about closing out a cycle. Sometimes we don't move forward into a new phase of life because we have fear of closing out the old cycle of life. But it's like, well, I don't want to quit living my life the way I live it, or the way I've been viewing it. And so long as it keeps moving forward in truth and love, you're still kind of growing and learning and maturing in it. When you start to have fear of keep moving forward in it, you might start to think that the reason you keep doing it is more out of ego or defensiveness. facing your fears, to keep believing in your dreams, and then you might keep repeating an old pattern just because of fear, and that's where the King of Swords can be like our self-defensive, self-protective nature. We all like to stay in our comfort zone. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I don't want to invest in something new, because then I won't be investing in what I was investing in and living my life the way I lived it. And this maybe does look victorious and successful, but as it start, are we kind of indulging ourselves? It's maybe not as great as it used to be. Just like, it was great to be 21, but, when you are starting to become 25, are you still trying to live the life of a 25-year-old and, you're kind of not growing and maturing yourself? And then you might realize, I think it's more because I'm afraid of change. I'm afraid of doing things different. I'm just going to keep doing this. And then they keep repeating this old pattern over and over, right? And it's kind of like they're not willing to quit living more from their mind than their heart. Well, this makes practical, logical sense. It's like staying in a job when you really don't want to stay at that job anymore. You've kind of went and maybe learned as much as you could in that job, but in order to get the experience level, you'd have to quit that job and go to a different job. And some people have a lot of fear of doing that, so they could keep staying in the same job, even though there could be things about it, just even knowing that their own fear manipulates them from moving forward. Who likes to feel like that? Maybe, you can move forward in something and it all seems like it's going to be victorious and successful. And a lot of it we could do because of money. We all want stability and security in our life, but did we get in a job? It's kind of the same thing like getting in a relationship. We can get in a job or a relationship. We're in a relationship. We want to be in a relationship. And it could have been great initially, but maybe as time went by, we kind of get to know the people better that we're working with or in a relationship with. Maybe we kind of realize Taurus energy can talk about our different philosophies of life, what I think is just and fair, what you think is just and fair. Am I more stubborn or prideful or materialistic or ego-driven than someone who really walks the talk? Because this is Taurus energy, and at the end of the story here, we also have the Hierophant, which is Taurus energy. Am I growing and maturing myself? Do I not want to grow and mature myself? Do I have a lot of fears and insecurities I don't deal with? Do I kind of give in to being more about myself or indulging myself or my ego? What about the people I'm working with and the people I'm in relationship with? And then we don't know if we want to keep investing in them, like if that would be a good decision, because next, we have the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands is Sagittarius energy, which in a high vibe is about higher learning and education. Is everybody kind of motivated and inspired to learn lessons in life? That's the Knight of Pentacles, Virgo energy. Life is about going through these phases that we learn lessons in life. If we see that the direction we're headed in, wait a minute, I don't think I should keep moving forward in this, am I willing to speak my truth? Because in high vibe, Virgo is about revealing the truth. And that maybe something I was moving forward with in the Five of Wands can talk about I have inner conflict about it. I might like this job, I might like some people in this friendship group, or I might like some people I'm in relationships with. Is there certain people in it, that I kind of have some inner conflict? Because I feel like they harness these energies in a more shadowy way. And at the very end of the story, we're kind of jumping around here a bit, but we have the Ace of Wands and the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is Aquarius energy, kind of about our dreams. And in the Three of Wands, we have this expectation in the Three of Wands of how we thought things were going to pan out, kind of, And again, if People could have communicated to us, is what the wands talk about. We could have communicated to people. People could have taken a new job. People could have gotten in a new friendship. People could have gotten in a new relationship at one point in time. Some people are just thinking of doing it now. But throughout starting new relationships, in the midst of relationships, we periodically kind of, the Seven of Pentacles can kind of be about doing this assessment of where we're going in our life, if we think we're on the right path, and just like we're doing that, other people are doing that. And everybody's trying to decide, am I willing to be more just and fair? Am I willing in high vibe Taurus energy to walk the talk? Am I going to keep moving forward with something because I'm competitive, is what the Five of Wands can talk about. This would look like my dreams have come into reality. I would have a certain status or image, or I'd look really victorious. But what if you're in a job that you don't really like, And, you didn't know. Again, just like people can get a degree from a college, and they could be stressed because they don't really know. They really haven't put it into practice. And they go move forward in that degree, and initially, kind of excited about it, hoping it's going to be emotionally fulfilling. And then as they keep moving forward in it, we have to decide, is this really where I want to take my career? It might have all those things of the world. I might have status and image and money, but am I happy? So the Ace of Wands and the Queen of Swords, with the Queen of Swords being Aquarius energy, it's also represented by the Star card. Am I doing it more because it makes me look like a shining star in the world? And is that the most important thing? The most important thing is that I look like I have a certain status and image, and, I might be sacrificing really living my more authentic life in a more defensive energy of, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. I'm going to stay in the same job or friendship or relationships or doing life the way I've been doing it. Because by worldly standards, it looks like a good investment. It looks like I have all these things that the world basically tells me should make me happy. And in a lot of ways, it could make me happy. For some people, that is the decision they're going to make. Because again, if that's what they value, if that's what's most important to them, that is what they're going to defend. And other people are like, oh my gosh, when I find myself in a job, a friendship, or relationship, and I kind of realize it's not what I thought it was going to be, and it doesn't seem like we're on the same page, I am willing to listen to my intuition, see where I might be acting more out of fear and insecurity and pride and ego and lust and greed, and how some of the people I might be in a relationship with might be operating from those energies. And if I'm more motivated to want to invest in people who I think do act with more character and integrity, and, I'd be willing, here we have the 6 and the 7 of Pentacles, and we're going down to the 1 Pentacle. What is most important to some people is I want to have a balance. Do I want some of these things of the world just like other people want? Yeah. Do I want to work with people who I think don't make good decisions, don't learn lessons? Shadowy Knight of Wands can be immature. Do I want to stay at a workplace or friendship or relationship with people who I think aren't good leaders, don't learn lessons, like defensive to admitting that maybe they have some lessons to learn, that they could benefit from maybe being willing? You first have to get out of your defensiveness and your ego to even be open and inspired to be willing to learn lessons. Like, I have tried that over and over and it never really works. Maybe I should quit doing that. And shadowy King of Swords and Queen of Swords could be people who kind of maybe could be a little more bossy or controlling, or a little bit more just not maybe as connected in with their emotions and their intuition. Maybe a little defensive, maybe a little egotistical. And it's like, do I want to keep working with people like that? And if I've already worked with them and I've tried to offer them encouragement to work through whatever it is that manipulates them, working together with them cooperatively, high vibe energy is being like a good role model. I am going to maintain balance within myself. If I see other people kind of acting immature and bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or whatever, you do you. I'm going to keep walking the talk, maintaining balance within myself. I'm not going to get pulled in to kind of pettiness or something. The Five of Wands, conflict and fighting and ego battles. It's like if I can tell that you're kind of that type of person, I might just want to keep my distance from you. And if I don't have to deal with you very much, say at a job or even in a social context of some sort, I'm going to kind of keep my distance from you. Now, some of those people in the Knight of Wands could be people that you're kind of attracted to. But if you already have been in relationships with people who, aren't inspired more to work together in a more just and fair, balanced way, have some growing up and maturing to do, they do kind of take more immature action, or they are kind of more defensive, or they are more worldly, or they are more prideful or self-indulgent. I've already been in relationships with people like you, and the Six of Wands moves away from the Five of Wands, and it can just be people who are still operating more out of their competitive, egoic nature in a way. And so that's when some shadowy traits and characteristics can come out, being a little bossy or controlling or self-indulgent and immature and those things. And it's like, if I've already been in relationships with people like that, it's kind of like, again, the Six of Wands moves away from the Five of Wands, and I can't change other people. All I can do is treat people the way I like to be treated, try to inspire other people to walk the talk in a way, be more just and fair and balanced, be more inspired to work cooperatively to bring a dream into reality and look to the future. And high vibe Aquarius is keeping things in perspective and not getting so caught up in your head and your fears or your insecurities. It's just kind of taking slow, steady steps forward to Five of Wands, and the Six of Wands is Leo energy. Temper your fears, temper your insecurities. Try to temper your ego if you have a problem with tempering your ego. And try to keep slow, steady steps. And then, sometimes, say you were a supervisor, a boss at a job, and someone keeps kind of, nope, I'm not going to do that. From the One Wand to the Five of Wands is taking back the Four of Wands. Which can be a foundation, a way of living life, a way of viewing life. This is my truth. This is my philosophy of life. This is what I invest in. Eventually some people in friendships, workplaces, things like that, there's so much time in a way that you can work together with people and be patient with them. But we have to see the truth. And shadowy Libra can be where we don't want to see the truth. Because then we'd have to speak the truth, take action on the truth, and that can all cause us inner conflict. So for quite a while in the Knight of Wands, we can kind of indulge people. But how long are we going to do that where we're trying to move something forward in a more just and fair and balanced way? And then the Queen of Swords, which the queens can talk about how we think and feel, whether we're male or female, that we kind of feel betrayed. because, people gave the impression that they were willing to bring this dream into reality, that they were not more about themselves or ego or image or stubbornness or pride or ego, that they were inspired to invest in this new beginning, that they had detached from some old foundation or are more independent of other people in their life, like their friend group or their original family or the world or their ego, or, to work to bring this dream into reality, to be more independent. And that's when some people are like, I think you created an illusion that you were more independent, more immature, more just, more fair, more stable. And I've been patient, taking slow, steady steps, being loving and encouraging. But it finally gets to a point that if you have inner conflict about working together to bring this dream into reality, and from the 5 of Wands down to the 3 of Wands, it's letting go of the 2 of Wands, which is also about like, I had this dream. And then we take action to bring that dream into reality. And then that's like coming together with someone in the 4 of Wands. And then the 5 of Wands is having that new beginning. I thought you were ready to move forward in this and bring this dream into reality. But the other people can get in it. They can invest in it. But then shadowy fire again can be where it kind of seems like someone's indulging themselves in it. Or being kind of immature. Or being kind of stubborn. Or being kind of bossy or controlling or defensive. Or unwilling to learn lessons. Or, they kind of could keep repeating certain things over and over. And that's when other people are like, I'm not sure if you're the right fit. And we do the same thing in our friendships and relationships with people, And if it's more of like a friendship or relationship, we have all lived our life at a certain phase of life and we could have enjoyed it for a while. But then it's like, I don't want to keep doing those same things. And I thought, we were all just going to kind of grow and heal and mature ourselves and keep pursuing our dreams, like to keep just kind of growing to our full potential. And some people in our life are like, well, no, I thought we were going to be friends or be in a friendship or be in a relationship. And I thought we were going to keep doing this, because in order to move forward, I would maybe have to get more balance within myself. And maybe I like being tipped out of balance where I am more about myself or more about the world or indulgence. And I think you should keep indulging me in maybe my kind of more, my view of life. And it's like, well, I might have viewed life that way too, but, I'm kind of, I know if I keep doing that, I do end up staying here. And some of the things that, just wanting to feel like I'm not letting my fear or my insecurity or my more immature nature manipulate me. I had a dream of working through some of those issues that manipulated me to be free of them. And that's something some people do periodically in their life. You can always have some fears and insecurities in your life at any given moment in time. But then kind of as you move forward in life, you can see how some of those things make you repeat some old patterns and ways of being that stop you from moving forward in a way that you kind of dreamed of or expected one day that you kind of would. And then you kind of realize, wait a minute, is it more my fear and my insecurity that stops me? Well, I don't like that. So I am inspired to do this inner work and work through that inner conflict about why don't I believe in myself or believe in my dreams and, getting the justice I deserve. And if I keep repeating this old way of being and looking at life or viewing myself or ways of conducting myself in life, I'm never going to get that. And I want that. And then when we're ready to move forward and maybe quit certain habits or patterns or ways of being to kind of more inspired to believe in our dreams, or even just getting out of being more inspired by the world, wanting to be in a relationship. Some people are types of people, they just want to be in a relationship because that makes them feel more stable or balanced, or they could feel it says something about their worth or value. So some people, because they're stressed about if they'll be viewed a certain way, could make a decision to get in relationships. It's really not a good decision, but they want to maybe kind of indulge in a relationship. They want to look like they've moved on. They want to look like they've had a new beginning, but they really haven't. Kind of getting in the relationship again, more kind of for ulterior purposes than really because it's kind of aligned with truth and justice and fairness and love, you know? And then we can have conflicts in a relationship as it goes by, because one person could have thought it really was motivated and inspired by truth and love and wanted to bring a dream into reality, and the other one's like, oh, sorry, I was really up in my head. Maybe someone else moved forward and I felt betrayed. They went and got in a new relationship. They looked victorious and successful. I wanted to look like I was moving forward in a victorious, successful relationship. So I went and got in a relationship with someone. You know, it's probably not going to work out well if we kind of get in relationships for the wrong reasons. But, you know, we've all felt betrayed. We all could have gotten in relationships at different times in our life for some of those more shadowy reasons, in our ego, conflicted, want to be in a relationship. But, you know, hopefully as we learn lessons in life, we learn, you know, I've been there and done that before and it didn't really work out the way I want. Because there's always people who are willing to hang out with you and be in a relationship with you. Hey, are you mad? Hey, are you in your ego? Hey, are you stressed out? Hey, you just want to be in a relationship for a while? Hey, I'll be in a relationship with you for a while. But, you know, it's not really aligned with our truth. And so hopefully as some people learn lessons in life, it's like, no, it just doesn't work out the way I want. And so I've learned those lessons. Now, even though I might have some inner conflict because there's these things that I would like to manifest in my life, if there aren't people in my world that seem to be the right type of person for me to get in a relationship with, I'm going to keep walking the talk. I want to be available when someone does come across my path who seems to be like the person I want to be in a relationship with. And for some of the people who didn't do that, now some of those people could be stressed if they do meet someone who seems to be more on the same page of the type of person they thought they wanted to be in a relationship with, because they did kind of create an illusion that something they got involved in was like a dream come true. And then if they were to get out of it, then they have to speak the truth, the King of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles. And then they can have inner conflict about that because, you know, people view them a certain way or that they have a certain status or image. And then because of that, you know, we can all be manipulated by our ego and maybe our want for stability and security. And, you know, if things look really good, we can all be tempted to want to stay in it. It's just that some people went through that and they're out. And then they could have communicated to people in their world that this is how I'm moving forward. Who wants to move forward with me in this type of energy where it's more, I'm not going to be indulging someone in their ego. If you're bossy or controlling or immature, want to be indulged in a relationship, you're not the right person for me. I am looking for someone who realizes I have my own dreams and it's not for me to give up my dreams and let all that go for me to indulge you in a relationship. And male or female, there's people like that in the world. You know, if it's not to give up your own dreams and pursuing your dreams or your career, they definitely want it to be more where they're the boss and you indulge them in their kind of more bossy or controlling or stubborn ways of being. And there's some people that are willing to do that. That is a shadowy Taurus relationship. The Six of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. And that's how some people do view relationships. Whoever seems to have more of these things of the world that people could want, and you have those things that I want, and it can be kind of not materialistic, but it could be, if my big thing is I want to be in a relationship with the most attractive person I could possibly get in a relationship with, because for some reason that drives me and my ego. Well, then, if somebody say we're really attractive, some people would be like, yep, I'll be willing to indulge you and put up with your shadowy ways of being, because that, to me, is kind of the most important thing. Other people, it might be money, status, image, power, social clout, what you wear, what you act like, how they think other people perceive you. You know, so much of it is just in us and our own thinking, and Taurus can be like all these things in our head too, about these rules and regulations about what makes me look like I have justice in the world, that I have a certain status or image in the world, and what's most important to me. And if there were people that some of you knew that they have that kind of more shadowy view, Taurus energy, in a workplace, friendship, or romantic relationship, where I have these things of the world that I think are more important than what you bring to the table. What you bring to the table is truth, and of course the truth in high vibe is love. You are inspired by truth and love, walking the talk, putting in work and effort, being just and fair, have hope and faith and belief in yourself, in your dreams, and that's how you work together with people. But say they're the employer and they're bossy or controlling or whatever, they could still think, I don't have to make good decisions in this workplace. I can be immature. Because you want this job, I think you'll keep investing in it anyway, because it looks like victorious and successful, or we pay you well. And we might for a while, because we'd really like things that we've invested in to work out. But eventually high vibe people are like, I'm leaving. You can hire someone else to be bossy and controlling and immature with. And same thing can happen in romantic relationships. Did I want this to work out? You know, maybe initially I wasn't seeing the truth. You know, I had these things I wanted to manifest. I could have been attracted to you. You know, I was thinking everybody was motivated and inspired by love, but I kind of found out people aren't. And it really is more ego or image, or they have this kind of more shadowy view of relationships, and they think they should be indulged. And it's like, that's not my truth. I'm moving on, and I'm going to go try to find people in the world who I think have been in similar situations and don't harness a more shadowy Taurus philosophy of life, where they are thinking it is to be more just and fair, and we all bring different resources to jobs and relationships, you know. And you know, if you've ever worked somewhere and you know, one department or whatever feels kind of whatever, it could be anywhere from the cleaning company to the IT people to the plumbing people to the top people. If they feel disrespected or are always continually disrespected in that place of employment, and those people keep leaving, it can really cause a lot of upset in that workplace, which Taurus energy can represent all those different institutions of the world. And it's like, it's really hard for our dreams to come into reality if people aren't respecting everybody and kind of appreciating what people bring to the table and paying them maybe accordingly, and thinking, oh no, you're more codependent or something, we can kind of be rude or kind of dismissive of you. And those people are like, you know, be rude and dismissive of someone else, I'm leaving. And then you keep having these issues at your workplace because there isn't somebody there to fill that job, right? And some of the shadowy people in romantic relationships who think, this is my truth. In my shadowy Libra energy, I think it is about being more transactional in a relationship, and they think if they have more of those things of the world that people should want in their mind, they think other people should indulge them, and they shouldn't have to walk the talk or be more just and fair. And if they're get in relationships with people who don't have that same philosophy of life, and those people are trying to encourage them to be more just and fair, eventually it's like, this isn't my truth. You go find someone else. I'm going to go find someone either that will indulge me in my kind of inflated sense of self, or they would be willing to indulge someone for those things, because that's just how they view relationships. They could think that people who are motivated and inspired to be more just and fair and hopeful and believing in love, that you kind of live in fantasy land, and that you just don't get it. This is the way it works. It's like, yeah, it is the way it works for some people in the world. Everybody's got free will. Some people are aligned with that more philosophy of life. Other people aren't. And I'm going to go find the people who do appreciate what other people bring to the table. Because some people, it is this creativity, inspiration, character, integrity, being tempered in their ego, work cooperatively with people. It's just like somebody who could have lots of years of experience or schooling in a workplace. Someone else can come in. They might not have as much as those people had in the 6 and 7 of Pentacles, but they're a person who is inspired to put in work and effort, who works with people in a more just and fair and inspiring and uplifting way, and is willing to learn lessons in life, that it's like, gee, I think with this person we can have our dreams come into reality. That other person might have really seemed the better fit, maybe in job experience or credentials, but this person does have like the foundation of things that we need. And because they're more open and inspired to learn and more agreeable and inspired to work cooperatively with people, this is the person. And then some of the more kind of people who could have been full of themselves could wonder, why did those people move forward with those people? How dare they? I was more attractive. I had more money. I had more social clout. I had more education or years of experience. It's like, yeah, but you aren't inspired to get out of your ego or your defensiveness or your self-indulgent or immature ways of being. And, working with people who are inspired to work together with you in a more just and fair and balanced way. That's, what is it that they say in those commercials? Priceless. So, I think there's some shadowy people in the world. They do think it is more about presenting this illusion about who they are. If I act like this, if I talk like this, if I dress like this, if I, do all these things, like, people will be inspired to want to be in a relationship with me. And it's like, yeah, up to maybe 50% of the people living in a world of duality. I kind of think God keeps things in balance. Yeah, maybe 50% of the people are going to be more motivated and inspired to be aligned with those type of people, because that kind of is how they view life and what drives and motivates them. And then there's going to be other people that have already been caught up in the world and more of the superficial and shallow, and realize that it's someone being more authentic, creative, and inspired and loving, who keeps things in perspective and sees things from a bigger picture, puts in work and effort, is authentic, than those things of the world. It just isn't enough. It lacks that spark. And that's the whole thing. Some people defend being more inspired by their more worldly nature, and that's what they offer to people to kind of be in relationship with them. Other people are more inspired to look at life from a higher perspective have hope and faith and belief and love, and they kind of have that spark of life and creativity. So let's go see what's coming up. For people, everybody could be moving forward in new jobs, new friendships, relationships, or marriages. It's just, why are they doing it? You know, some people, they acted immature at an old job, an old relationship, but they don't want to see the truth. Instead of healing and growing and maturing themselves, being more inspired to grow up and mature themselves and be more balanced, I'll just go get in a different relationship or go get a different job. That way it looks like I healed and grew and matured myself. And they're still defending like this old way of doing things, of what drives and motivates them. Other people learn lessons from the life experience. Where did I need to heal and grow and mature myself? What about the people I got in relationships with? I don't want to repeat that same pattern. And I don't want to get in those same type of jobs. So I've hopefully learned also to invest in listening to my intuition and heal and grow and mature myself, see the truth. I can't change other people. And if people off the bat kind of show me that they're kind of, I get the feeling they're more manipulative, or they're more ego driven, or materialistically driven, or emotionally kind of detached and not very authentic and warm and encouraging. You know what? If I like to be in relationships and I'm kind of like loving and encouraging with people I get in relationship, doesn't mean you have to be that way with everyone in the world. You know, it's interesting that just with different people in my family, I can be much more defensive in general out in the world because I don't know those people. And the people I get in a relationship with, you know, then I'm more comfortable and I feel more safe and secure, and I'm very loving and nurturing and warm and encouraging with those people. Where other people in my family can be just like the opposite, where they're more open to people they don't know than almost the people they get in a relationship. And it was like, well, because those people can hurt me. I was like, but you know those people that you're in a relationship with. Yeah, but they could hurt me. So they're almost more defensive to people they are in more relationship with than they are with people they're not in relationship with, you know, just friends or whatever, you know. And it's like, wow, you know, it's just a different way of viewing relationships, right? Anyway, what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Libra energy that they might not see coming? The Three of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Two of Cups. So, the Three of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, and shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the Devil, which is like our shadow nature. As high vibe people go through life, come in contact with all these different people in the world to help them get more clear about what their truth is and truth isn't. And they keep focused on the dream that they have. I'm going to take the lesson I have learned from all these experiences. Yeah. Did some people stress me out? Did I feel betrayed by some people? Do I feel like some people are people who just create an illusion in the world and they really weren't who they said they were, and they really were more immature or materialistic or fearful or insecure than I realized? Yeah, but I learned the lesson. And because again, if you're someone who's more motivated, thinks everyone's more motivated and inspired by love, and that you get in relationships with people and you think, of course, everybody would work through their fears and insecurities to be open to love. And then you realize they're not, and they're more willing to turn their back on love. Because for some people, with King of Swords in Libra energy can be a person's self-protective, defensive nature. This is entering the danger zone. I could get hurt here. I got to run away. I am not putting myself at risk. I would rather be in a relationship where it's more of an illusion. I can't get hurt in that. Where I can feel safe and secure living more from my mind than my heart. This makes logical, practical sense. This looks like a good investment. I think I would look like I'm moving forward victorious and successfully. I have what other people have, but I protected my more creative, inspired nature. Like, I keep that imprisoned. I do not let that out to play in the world. And if that's what makes them feel safe and secure, and that's how they choose to want to live their life, that's how they're going to live it. Other people in high vibe work through all those fears and insecurities and defensiveness to being hurt again, that I'm not as naive and gullible as I was before. I have learned that people can wear a false mask. I have learned that not everybody's motivated and inspired by love. You know, that people have free will to choose what their truth is. And now I'm going to maybe get to know people a lot, is what the Pentacles can talk about. I'm going to get to know people, exchange time, energy, and effort with them. And the people who I come to the conclusion, yeah, they're kind of want to repeat some old pattern or whatever, like I've already been there and done that, I'm going to move on from those people. It might cause me some inner conflict because I could be attracted to them. I would have liked to have been in a relationship with them. But my dream can only come into reality with other people who that isn't the foundation they operate from. It has to be truth and love and having hope and faith and belief in love. And so as you're moving forward, aligning with love, which is what the Two of Cups and Cancer energy can talk about, you have freed yourself from your more of your shadowy nature that kept you repeating an old pattern and probably got you out, and you probably moved away from some people who would have liked you maybe to have stayed in that job, friendship, or romantic relationship with them, but only if you kept repeating this old pattern. It's like, but I already found out our truth is different and what we think is just and fair. So I can't be trying to create from truth and love a foundation, and you want to create a foundation more being about yourself or ego or image or illusion or indulgence. I want us both to be building a foundation from love. And if you haven't freed yourself from those things that kind of manipulate you and your defensiveness, then my dream can't come into reality with you anyway. So I'm looking and I'm inspired to go find the people who are, and I'm going to make offers to people who I think harness high vibe, Libra, Taurus, Leo, Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, Aquarius, Virgo, Sagittarius, motivated and inspired to quit repeating old patterns, quit being more defensive, quit indulging and being manipulated, to bring a dream into reality based on truth and love. And you already showed me that wasn't you. So I'm going to go invest in the people who I do think are on that page. And if some of those people, as time goes by, it's like, oh, no, I guess I'm not ready for that. It's like, okay, well, the divine's got a plan for my life. And I'm not going to keep chasing after people or trying to change other people. If you're not on the same page, I wish you peace. And I'm going to keep working with the people that are currently in my life and people that I work for and in business with, and I'm going to keep believing in myself. I'm not willing to settle just for the illusion out of fear and insecurities. And so I think as you move forward in that energy, some people are going to be mad because you're not willing to indulge them in their poor behavior in a relationship. And they think you should, maybe because they have all these certain things of the world. And they think you should indulge them. It's like, there'll be other people who are willing to indulge you, I am sure. And then there's going to be other people that could be inspired and wonder, why do I do what I do? And why do I live my life the way I live it? You know what? I'm going to do this work to work through my own ego or defensiveness or inner conflict about being more just and fair in a relationship and treating other people the way I like to be treated. You know, why should I think I should be indulged in a relationship? And if they see the truth of it, I think some of those people, or they're naturally that type of person anyway, those are going to be people who are going to want to invest in you. In the workplace, in friendships, in romantic relationships. Because you are inspired not so much by the ego or the lust or the greed or the pride or the ego or the competitiveness or whatever, but by truth and love. And they want to be in relationships with people who are like that too. So I think you're going to work with loving people because you're working from a foundation of love. So what's coming up for some people Ooh, okay. Some people might harness a more worldly, shadowy Libra energy that they might not see coming. The King of Cups, the Four of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the Chariot, all four cards of water sign energy. And the reason they came out is because of the Star card, which is Aquarius, and the Queen of Wands, which is Leo. Some people's idea of the dream relationship is for them to operate from their ego, shadowy Leo energy. Shadowy King of Cups can be, I want to wear a false mask. I want to present myself as loving and victorious and successful in the world so other people will get in relationship with me. But they don't really take that cup of higher love to authentically operate from a foundation of love. Knight of Cups can be Pisces energy, like the Nine of Cups. I just create the illusion I'm loving. And I could create the illusion I'm sad about a relationship that didn't work out with you or someone else. And that I view you as the dream person for me to be in a relationship with, and I want to move forward with you in a relationship. But shadowy people sometimes want to get in relationships with people who really are emotionally balanced and loving and inspired by their dreams. You know, they haven't done this work within themselves to be emotionally balanced and inspired to be more authentic and loving, but they still want to be in a relationship with people who are like that, because who doesn't like to be in a relationship with people who are loving and nurturing and hopeful and believing and loving and walk the talk and tempered in their ego, and they're not being defensive and prideful and egotistical. You know, that's what they keep wanting. That's like them having their cake and wanting to eat it too. Like, I want to be defensive, kind of egotistical, kind of prideful, kind of indulged. I want to look like I'm like you, but I'm not. And the way to make it look like I'm like you, I'm not materialistic, I'm not prideful, I'm not egotistical, I'm not self-centered, I'm not insecure, I'm not fearful, I'm not unloving. I want to get in a relationship with someone who harnesses these energies in a high vibe way. But they don't want to take that cup of higher love to work through what manipulates them, to be free of it. Because high vibe, Nine of Cups and Knight of Cups and Pisces energy, like high vibe Virgo, is being independent of your more worldly, shadowy, defensive, immature nature. They want to stay in that shadowy energy, but just move forward with people who are more emotionally balanced and authentic and loving. And the high vibe people in their life were putting work and effort to bring a dream into reality, and eventually they saw the truth that that isn't what really drives and motivates you. And because you have these things that manipulate you, you kind of repeat some poor, immature patterns in this relationship because you haven't worked through those issues to free yourself from them. And so I'm putting in work and effort with someone, we have a different philosophy of life. And what we think is just and fair is different. And my dream can't come into reality with you, because it can only come in to reality with people who also were inspired to do that work, to free themselves from things that manipulated them, to be more inspired by truth and love. And so as they do this again, they could find another person. You know, the Nine of Cups is kind of, again, creating an illusion. And other people buy into the illusion. Other people get in the friendship, the relationship, the job. And then eventually those people feel betrayed. But what the shadowy people are counting on is that even when people do see the truth, that because of the status and the ego and the image and the fear of detaching from it, to believe in yourself and believe in your dreams and become independent of them, that people will keep defending it. And they kind of get what they want. I get to be kind of shadowy and bossy and immature or whatever, and I got someone loving who's willing to stay in it with me because they have inner conflict of letting it go and believing in themselves and believing in their dreams. And it's an injustice. It's not fair. They weren't being like authentic and truthful to begin with. And there's always going to be some high vibe people in their life that are like, no, I'm leaving. You don't authentically offer me love. You harness your Cancer energy, your Pisces energy in a shadowy way. You use your emotions manipulatively. You could use your words manipulatively. You could use your sexuality manipulatively. They use the gifts that they were given to try to manipulate people to staying in a relationship and continuing to move forward in it in this shadowy type of energy. And they're always going to have some high vibe people in their life that are like, no, I'm leaving. Because I feel like I'm missing an opportunity of love in this relationship. And I'm not willing to keep staying in it because of my ego. I love myself. And I'm going to love myself enough to take that cup of love that the divine offers all of us to believe in our dreams. And I'm going to take action to stand up for what I believe in. And you can go try to manipulate someone else. And some of those people are trying to do that right now. And some of the people in the world that are doing that, some other people feel unloved. Some other people have seen other people and watch books or movies or listen to music, whatever it is that God can use kind of in fire sign energy to inspire people to love and believe in themselves. God uses to get other people to stand up for what they believe in and not keep indulging people in their poor behavior, because that's unjust. And other people could be leaving jobs, friendships, and relationships for those reasons. And if they keep doing this, the people who might not do that might be people who, in their free will, they could have chose to work through their inner conflict about loving and believing in themselves. But those people decided, well, this looks good. This looks good for my status and my image. I'll indulge you in a relationship. I might not love you, but hey, I'll create an illusion. I too want to look like I've moved on. I might want to look like I'm a more emotionally stable, loving person also. So I'll stay in the relationship with you. But if people aren't getting in a relationship for love, why are they getting in it? Well, because someone else, maybe something else didn't work out. Or that is the most important thing to me, is to look like I'm victorious and successful in the world. And if this, by worldly standards, looks like I have a certain status or image or wealth or social clout or power, that's what drives and motivates me. That's the most important thing to me. And so then the Queen of Wands can represent like aligning with the competition. We had the choice to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, but we can align with the competition within ourselves. We can let our more ego nature, shadow nature, immature nature, superficial and shallow nature, defensive nature, fearful nature run our life. It's just that they think their dreams are going to come into reality living their life that way. But I do think as time goes by, people are going to see the truth. That love is what makes it all worthwhile. And they're going to feel like they missed an opportunity in love. But they might keep moving forward with the illusion because that's the most important thing to them. But some high vibe people in their life aren't going to. And those people are like, you know, I'm going to go invest in people who authentically are warm and loving. And you can hang out together. You people doing what you're doing. I'm going to go find some people who I think are more authentic and warm and loving and just and fair and truthful and honest. Because I'm just not willing to settle for the illusion. And everybody has free will. Everybody can do what they want to do. So there you go, Libra energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.